Last night I was thinking about several movies that I've seen where people were on a journey and or a quest for something important to them, and there were certain sections of that journey where they had to pass through without tripping any wires or whatever that would set off some booby traps, and sometimes they didn't even know that the booby traps were there until it was too late. Well, anyway, that made me think of something else that I remembered reading in 1 John, and I wanted to share that. And in 1 John chapter 2, starting in verse 15, I'm reading from my Amplified Bible. It says, "Do not love the world of sin that opposes God and his precepts, nor the things that are in the world. If anyone loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust and sensual craving of the flesh," that's one, "and the lust and longing of the eyes," that's two, and number three is the boastful pride of life, pretentious confidence in one's resources or in the stability of earthly things. These do not come from the Father, but are from the world. And verse 17 says, "The world is passing away, and with it its lust, the shameful pursuits, and ungodly longings. But the one who does the will of God and carries out his purposes lives forever." And then that made me think of something else that is in Genesis. If you go back to the very first book in the Bible, chapter 3, it starts with an interesting verse. It says, "Now the serpent was more crafty, subtle, skilled in deceit than any living creature of the field which the Lord God had made. And the serpent," Satan, "said to the woman, Eve, can it really be that God has said, 'You shall not eat from any tree of the garden'? And the woman said to the serpent, 'We may eat from the trees of the garden, except the fruit from the tree which is in the middle of the garden. God said, You shall not eat from it, nor touch it, otherwise you will die.'" And then, verse 6, she was getting deceived here. Anyways, verse 6 says, "And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food," that's the first one, "and that it was delightful to look at," the second one, "and a tree to be desired in order to make one wise and insightful," that's the third. I'm going to call it the booby trap. "She took some of its fruit and ate it, and she also gave some to her husband with her, and he ate." Of course, and we know the rest of the story there about the fall of Adam and Eve, and then everything else happened since then. And then I want to share one more verse. It's in verse Revelation, because I believe all of this ties together. And Revelations chapter 12, verse 7 says, "And war broke out in heaven, Michael the archangel and his angels waging war with the dragon and his angels fought." I'm going down to verse 8, and it says, "And the great dragon was thrown down, the age-old serpent, who is called the devil and Satan, he who continually deceives and seduces the entire inhabited world. He was thrown down to the earth, and his angels were thrown down with him." And I wanted to share that because I think, like I said, all three of those, they all tie together. Lust of the eye, lust of the flesh, pride of life. And all of those are things that we need to be aware of and avoid. That's all I wanted to share. Thank you.